What if the journey from survival to success wasn't just about building a business, but reclaiming your voice, right? Welcome back to Voices of Impact, where we explore the stories, experiences, and leadership journeys that remind us what's possible when purpose meets perseverance. So today's conversation is a powerful reminder that some of the most impactful leaders aren't shaped by comfort, but they're shaped by resilience, courage, and the decision to keep moving forward despite extraordinary circumstances. So I'm honored to welcome Michelle Doan to the show. Michelle is the founder of EMANI, a clean beauty brand powered by advanced Korean beauty technology and created specifically for sensitive hormonal and menopausal skin. But behind the brand is a remarkable story of resilience and reinvention. So, born to Vietnamese immigrant parents and shaped by time spent in a Thai refugee camp before building a life in California, Michelle's journey reflects the courage it takes to navigate uncertainty, overcome limitations, and create opportunities where none seem to exist. Right? Her story isn't simply about entrepreneurship, but it's about identity and it's about visibility, right? And I can relate because my parents are also immigrants. So it's a very important, story to share. And it's about transforming adversity into leadership and creating a legacy that empowers others. So through every chapter of her life, Michelle has carried a perspective that continues to guide her journey, which is very inspiring. I love that. So moving from I have to I get to do this, right? I can. What makes this conversation especially aligned is what we both believe in, that our stories become our greatest source of leadership. It's really our storytelling, like where we came from, what's our mission, why we're here. Resilience is built through challenges, and legacy is built when purpose and service come together, right? So, in this episode, we'll explore what it means to move from survival to expansion. And I know we all have navigated it. So, this is a very important topic, from invisibility to influence, and from personal experience to purposeful impact. So, Michelle, honored to have you on Voices of Impact.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be here to share my story with everyone.
Amazing. So excited for this conversation. So, let's get into it. So, Michelle, your story begins long before entrepreneurship. So, can you take us back to your family's journey from Vietnam and what those early years actually were like?
Thank you. I was born in 1970. I just turned 56 this year. And
I know, right? I love that.
yeah, I really do embrace aging. And I think it comes with wisdom. So, born in Vietnam, 1975, the fall of Saigon. And during the 70s and 80s, there's a lot of calamities in our country. And there was an exodus of Vietnamese trying to escape Vietnam. Vietnam today is an incredible country with GDP growth. And I love coming back to visit. I'm so happy to go back every year. But during the 70s, it was really rough. My mom wanted us to have a better future. So we escaped on a little boat. Now imagine traveling with two little kids on a plane. She was doing this with 6 children, all right, with an unknown destination, and just have a faith that you're going to land somewhere that is safe and that you don't lose any of your kids on the way. My youngest sister was 2. My oldest brother was 16. I was a number 4th child. I was 9 years old when we left in 1979. Yeah, and it was a little shipping vessel. It was 30 meters, so it's 90 feet long, and it's not really a passenger. It's a shipping vessel. It's a fishing vessel, and it had 319 people. And it was just kind of funny. I don't have a great memories, but sometimes these stats are burned into, this part of my brain. And we were on the ocean for about 7 days before we reached our destination.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. So inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can't imagine how tough that would have been, right? So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you shared your journey and being vulnerable about it. So thank you. Kudos to you and your mom and everything. And you're here today and you're sharing your story. And that's inspiring all of us who are listening. And during this time and during your experiences, what messages did you receive about fitting in or belonging? And how did that affect your upbringing?
Refugee camp was challenging. I mean, we couldn't, at this time when we landed to shore, we didn't even know where we were really, right? And there were so many people landing in the surrounding countries like Indonesia and Malaysia. And there was a huge immigrant issues for the Thai. So they would shoot at our boat and we couldn't really swim in. But in the middle of the night, we made it to shore and we were in refugee camp for about almost a year. And being in refugee camp, we weren't really provided for. So you kind of like were on your own. So imagine my mom have to provide for us for almost a year in a refugee camp. And by doing so, she was sewing little golds and diamonds, whatever she had left, onto the sleeves of my clothes. And she said, no matter what you do, don't take this off. So when we made it to camp, that's how we survived. She would take all that little precious jewels she had left, and we would barter it for food and we would barter for shelter. And that was quite dramatic but then there were thousands of us stuck in this camp trying to find a better life. And through applying for asylum, we end up in Canada. And then that's a culture shock.
Oh my goodness. Like that's making me emotional. So thank you for sharing that again. And I don't even know how to imagine how tough that would have been, right? And to kind of barter, but I'm so glad that look who she raised, right? As such a strong woman. And I know we like take that, it's painful, it's a journey, but it's also a beautiful journey because it turns that pain into purpose and power. And for you to share that story, and now you're in Canada and you're doing your thing in California, and now you're really embracing your cultural heritage. And I know you did share that with me. So,
Yeah.
love to kind of have you talk about what contributed to that. Like, you're just proud because I can relate to that a little bit, not to like completely, I just really respecting and honoring your journey. But
Yeah.
the fact that there's this identity crisis, like that
Yeah.
dual identity. So if you can speak to that, and when did that begin to shift, and you're really truly proud of where you come from.
So I always felt like a foreigner in a different land, especially when we landed in Canada. We were so grateful. We were sponsored by St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Burlington in 1980. That's how we were able to go there. And the church members were just absolutely giving. They helped us integrate in our new life, but we didn't speak English. So that was really challenging. And I just recall there's only maybe one other Vietnamese kid in the school, and it felt like we're in this strange land, don't speak the language, and they didn't have an ESL program. So four of us were the school age. We were sent to a program, and we had our own private tutor who teaches us English. And basically, she's the one who named me Michelle because my name is a little bit hard to pronounce. And I was getting teased a lot, and people didn't know how to spell it. And so she said, she's like, how do you feel about the name Helen? I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel like I don't feel like I'm a Helen. And she's like, how do you feel about being called Michelle? I'm like, oh, I kind of like that because it sounds kind of French, you know? Yeah. So, but that was it. I just remember being so different. And for a while, to be honest, I didn't really like being Asian because I wanted to belong and I wanted to speak the language. And I turned away from my Asian roots because I just wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
And that went on for quite a long time. Even when we came to California as a teen, I came to California in 85. And there was such a division in my high school, right? Between, the Asian kids and the non-Asian kids.
Right. Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this again. And I think I can kind of relate because my parents were very similar. And when my parents came here, they were always talking about it was really hard because they came from India and they were like came in the 90s, right? And
Yeah.
I've heard stories in the 80s was even worse. Like there was no like South Asian or Asian or anything. And my parents would tell me like we struggled. Even my own mom said, right? She
Yeah.
keeps saying that right now. And not only did they struggle like the immigrant's journey, and I really can relate to that, even though I was born here, and to your point in high school, I never even had an Indian friend or an Asian friend. I was made fun of for my name as well. I was made fun of for being a vegetarian. And everywhere I
Yeah.
go, it's like vegetarian, vegan, right now.
Yeah.
And I think everyone knows there's a lot of South Asians
Yeah.
everywhere you see when you go out now. So yeah. And over time, I can also relate, like, but we take the values that we got from our parents and our heritage, and we get the like some of the values and the habits and the behaviors we get from our American side. And I learned how to like cultivate both because I like both. And I always had that dual identity as well. Even though I was born here, my parents
Yeah.
raised me as very like Indian and South Asian. And I was like, for a minute, we call it the ABCD American born confused Daisy. So
Yeah.
for a while I was like that, but then I learned how to embrace it, and I learned Indian classical dance and music, and I really
Yeah.
love it. So, and I'd love to hear more about what helped you go from that. Yeah, I'm not proud of my Asian roots to now like, hey, I'm Asian, I'm loving it. This is how I built my brand this way, and I love talking about it.
So I think not just the identity, right? Feeling you're not enough, but also I look at the identity as being an immigrant because we're also dirt poor, right? And this is why Asian, when we come to this country, and my story is not unique. There are, hundreds and thousands of Vietnamese that live in the US that have a very similar journey as I do. So we were dirt poor. So we have to work really hard. And then I tell my children, I said, listen, being born in the US, like you're winning the lottery. There's no reason why
Yeah.
no, you can really succeed. And that's why I wanted to really learn English and I wanted to speak it really well. Although I don't conjugate verbs I don't forget to pluralize sometimes. And that's okay. It's part of my charm. I don't always speak correctly, but I'm trying. Right.
Yeah.
And so it was just like just embracing. And I learned to give myself a lot more grace. I think I was really hard. I was judgmental about myself. And that's where, self love came in my later years. And I would just say the last 5 years, I really embrace who I am because when people talk about self love, I used to roll my eyes. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, self love is not about, taking yourself to the spa or buying something nice for yourself, but self love is accepting and embracing who you are. Forgive your mistakes. I think that was a really hard, self forgiveness was really challenging for me. And learning to forgive in general, it was really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you said the whole self-love because people think it's like, yeah, shopping or I'll take care of myself or spa. It's really not. And it takes time to really work on yourself and your inner parts and your shadow parts and being like, what part of me doesn't feel good enough? And I love what you said. It's like if you're in the US, it's like winning the lottery because that's what my parents always say. Even now, like you guys are raised here, you should be lucky, all of this. And yeah, because this was their American dream and they didn't have the privilege that we had, even though we were raised here. And it's not the same thing. So anyone who's an immigrant, I still like commend all of you, right?
Yeah.
And with the whole refugee thing, I think it was a similar journey with Sri Lankans that I've
Yeah.
heard of that
Yeah.
it was very similar, and they've come to like Canada as well and the UK, and we
Yeah.
have a lot of friends who've said the same thing. And I'm just like, it's high respect and high admiration for you all. And here you are. Your English is amazing, and it's probably better than mine. And like I said, I think I was telling you, for some reason, I don't know what it was. I was raised here and I was born here, but they put me in ESL class when I was like 10, and I was like, what the hell? So you're all good. And like you're doing a
There's
great job. So look at you. You're a CEO of a brand and a
yeah.
company. So it's just so inspiring that you've taken this much of your journey, whether it's painful, made it so beautiful, and now serving your purpose and helping others. And now you're actually finding your voice and owning your voice. So what helped you find that voice and truly own it unapologetically? And now you're here comfortably being seen,
Yeah.
right? And publicly and showing the wonderful person you are.
Yeah. Running the company for the longest time, I used to tell people I'm just a salesperson. Because I was kind of insecure in a way that would they accept me as a founder of a company, even though like I do all the heavy lifting in the beginning. Right. And so finding my voice and just being seen, it was difficult because I want to be the person behind the scene. And so my team is like, why don't you create content? Why don't you like do more of this? Why don't you? Because for me, I'm like, that's your job. Talk about that and find a way. And, I write blog posts and things like that, but it's really difficult. And now, so I'm just coming into my own self comfort. And it's only because imagine at 50, during COVID, it was really hard. I really had to define who I was because everything that I identify was at risk. Like who I was my company. Who I was my P&L. My mood was depends on how well we were doing. And I didn't find that inner peace, inner self, right? And so it was a very slow progression with a lot of self-awareness. And I think it came from really being unhappy and knowing that there was a better way and asking the right questions and be diligent about it.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
how I can find my voice, I can find my power. And then once I learn to accept myself, who I am. And sometimes I was like, yeah, you're kind of a badass. Let's go.
Yes. I love that. I love when women are badasses, right? Because I'm one of them too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just love seeing whether it's women of color or immigrants just
Yeah.
owning it, right? Because and I see a lot of people who are still struggling with this, and to really share your story, lived experience, I'm sure will really, really inspire
Yeah.
others to take inspired action and see like, hey, if you can do it, so can they. And
Yeah.
yeah, it really comes from that self-love piece. Like you said, going in and self-reflecting on why am I here? Why did this all happen to
Yeah.
me in a good way, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it all starts from that, universe, God, creator, whatever you believe in, there is a reason, right? And that's what a diamond is. A diamond is put through a lot of challenges and chiseled, and then you shine bright like a diamond later. And
Yeah.
there's reasons why we go through these challenges and painful moments to make us learn that these are lessons and we're here to become stronger. And there's a reason and a bigger picture. And here you are because of your brand and that's what beauty is about. And I'm going to go into that in a minute. But you're building a beauty brand, and beauty is not just how it looks on the outside. It's a self
Yeah.
love, it's the internal, and teaching women that first is a huge thing. And that's your legacy, right? So the bigger
Yeah.
picture of all of this is here that you're now building a true legacy and helping others reach their full potential, right? So, and owning your voice takes a lot of time. I had my own visibility blocks. Like to your point, I would always just hide behind a screen and not. I even now I just started the podcast, and my mentor, he was like, you need to put yourself out there. Go speak at conferences, do the
Yeah.
podcast. And I'm like, no, I'll just write content. I was a blogger, I was a writer. And so I had a similar thing because even now, like as a South Asian, I can relate. South Asians or Asians, it's very similar culture.
Yeah.
My mom would be like, why are you writing a blog? It's a waste of time. Go back to corporate, right? And entrepreneurship is not something that all of us are used to in the women of color. So we have to go through so much of ancestral healing and
Yeah.
trauma and all of these conditioning, which is harder than I'm sure everyone's going through, but I personally think it's harder than a lot of like most people. So
Yeah.
it really takes time to go within. And the more you've gone through the pain, the more we know how to work through that and we're
Yeah.
able to be stronger and like, hey, we're here to own it. And there's some things that I haven't really owned it completely about toxic relationships. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, it's really important to talk about this right now. And I know you did talk about that outside of our conversation, but there were things like people need to know we need to own our power. We should not let other people have their power. Right.
Yeah.
So these are things are important to talk about. So I'm so, so, so proud of you for owning your voice today. And you're here and sharing this with everyone. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And for being a role model for not only your kids and your family, but for me and for everyone who's listening, because it's rare to see this as, a Chinese American or Indian American. And what we're doing is amazing. Right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely. I think together we can really grow and support each other, especially, women going through hardships and dealing with toxic or narcissistic
Yeah.
people in our lives, not just men, but, I've been divorced twice and it was really challenging for me. And I keep asking myself, I said, God, like I'm a really good person. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't feel your love. And I realize is that he keeps teaching me lessons until I learn it. And then the second time around, I realize I'm like, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose differently and I'm gonna value myself.
Right.
And, we can totally go down a rabbit hole on narcissists, but these narcissists also help to really strengthen my resolve and to make me a badass because I had to stand up for myself. Like no one else was going to stand up for me. I had
Exactly.
to stand up for myself, stand up for my values, and leave the relationship and have to rebuild from the start.
Yeah, exactly. And everything you're saying, I can relate because I'm one of the survivors of narcissism. And, you said it's a completely different conversation that we can go into, but
Yeah.
that has changed a lot for me. Even till now, the reason why this platform exists is because of that reason. I was always had to suppress the truth, even till today. I was still telling my mom that, and I was just speaking my truth. Every day, I'm just like unapologetically like, this cannot stay inside, but in a very nice, compassionate way.
Yeah.
And it's finally people are like, oh my God, like, I didn't know you were going through this. And I had to stand up for myself. Like, honestly, everything that I've been through in life, I thought it was because of me. And I thought something was wrong with me and I was the dumb one. And I didn't know, like, look where I am now. I'm a badass. Everyone's like, you are calling me rock star now. And I'm like, really? Am I? So, because I didn't know. And everyone was like, you deserve the best. And I'm like, I always settled for less because that's how I
Yeah.
was used to with all of that trauma. And I was like, oh my God, like I was completely manipulated into thinking I was this dumb person. But look where I am today and look where you are today. So a lot of people are not, they don't know much about it. But yes, the point is that the toxicity, the relationships, all of this happened for a reason. And I can relate to what you said, like, why am I the person who has to go through this? Yeah, like we talk about past life, there's a reason for everything. And, when
Yes.
you're the person who's the black sheep and you're meant to break the generational stereotypes and
Yes.
trauma, you will have to go through these things. And I
Yes.
didn't know that before. And now I do. And I'm proud of myself, honestly, that I'm the one to do this. Yes, it's very, very painful.
Yeah.
Even now, I get these bursts of anger like, this has happened to me. Why couldn't I have prevented before? But at
Yeah.
the same time, I'm just like, actually, wow, like I get to really own my, voice and talk about this and help others. And this is really cool, right? This is God has chosen me for this, right? So we have to honor
Yeah.
that. And you and I were connecting for a reason because I didn't even know your story right before. And yeah, there's reason why everything is happening and the divine is orchestrating
Yeah.
this.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And anyone who's listening, I know we don't openly talk about this. I've never really talked about the part of the narcissism at all, right? Because I was like scared or ashamed, but
Yeah.
I think it's really time. This is the time to really own it,
Yeah.
right? And share that with others who are struggling, that you guys are not alone. No one's alone. And we're here to help everyone out, right? Going from survival to building that
Hmm.
influential brand, being the woman you're meant to be, right? So
Absolutely.
thank you for this conversation. And I know that you often talk about moving from the have to versus get to, right? So, how did that shift transform your mindset and life, right? So, we're talking about like the silence and expressing yourself and how you're now influencing others.
Yeah, for the longest time, I think about all the duties, especially when my kids were really young, where man, I have to take them to school, I have to pick them up from school, I have to cook them dinner, I have to give them bath and things like that. And during those days, I was like, oh, if my youngest son, 18, I'll be like 44, 43, and wow, I'll be free. I can live my life. But I can see how flawed that was because I would give to go back to the time when they were young and impressionable and just love them when they were little men. I had my daughter when I was 35, and I have the best relationship with my three kids. And thank God they are just really loving and kind. And I guess my biggest regret is that sometimes I am there in person, but I'm not there in presence, like in spirit. I could be there, but my mind could be somewhere else, like trying to solve some problems, right?
Mhm.
And so with that regret being in mind, I live and it took a long time for me to be living in the present. And when now I find myself, oh, I have to go to the gym, I have to take this call, I have to do this trade show, I have to solve this problem, right? I said, oh, no, no, no. I went through an EQ class and
Mhm.
it's like, oh, no, you don't have to, you get to. you get to go to the gym. How lucky are you to have like a healthy body that you can go to the gym? You know, how lucky are you to host this meeting because the clients are coming to you? How lucky are you to fix these problems because these problems is what help build your company? And so when I changed that perspective of that, these are privileges,
Yeah.
you know, and if I stop looking at things as like things that I have to fix, I look at them as privileges for me to serve my own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my life has been so much better. I literally live my life in HD because before I was living in the past or I'm living in the future. I wasn't living in the now. But it
Right.
took me over 50 years to really struggle with it, and then just through self-awareness, through reading, listening. Yeah, so through, you know, mindful practice and things like that, and reading and YouTube University, I love that because the type of meditation that sit and empty out your mind doesn't work for me because I think we're all a little bit ADD. So Louise Hay really helped to really rewire my brain. And it's how I wake up in the morning that changes the kind of day that I have. Instead of looking for problems, I look for love and I look for smiles and I look for all the good things that could happen in my day and be grateful for like the simplest thing, like to have a bed, to have a warm bed, to have coffee. And it makes me so happy and so joyous in my own life. It doesn't mean that my life has less problems. It's just that I have a different perspective and a different mindset to deal and to overcome those challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. Such a powerful mindset shift. And I know, like, similarly, because I know high achieving, I'm pretty sure everyone can resonate with this high achieving woman where we just struggle to let go and surrender. And to your
Mm.
point, I'm always in the past or in the future. My mom was saying the same thing, and she was like, it's really hard, you know. And of course, like, she's in her, you know, everyone's in her, she's in her 50s and the menopause and all of that hormonal changes. And she's like, it's really difficult. And I talked to her, and she's also somewhere else. Her mind is somewhere else. And the presence thing is really important to me in any relationship. And I tell my partner the same thing. And it was like, it's really hard to just let go of those worries, right? And just truly be present. And we get so caught up in like the survival. So I have to
Yeah.
is really a survival language. And I love how you shifted it into a more like abundance language, right? It's that the shift starts in the mind and how we talk to ourselves and how we embody that, right? And it starts from gratitude. So every day, at times, yes, you know, do you think I like working on my company every single day? And I still think it's like sometimes I look at everyone else and they have a lot of fun, but today I'm like, you know what? I get to really serve.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I get to wake up. So I have a similar thing. It's just really practicing that gratitude and just taking those small moments as a big ones, right? Did I eat
Yeah.
today? You know, did I sleep today? The fact that like everyone's stressed out. You know how many people I talk to in corporate, they're just like, you know, I have like no time to talk. I'm literally depressed. I'm anxious. Like I
Yeah.
don't feel happy today. And I was thinking like, oh my God, I'm like grateful that you know, God has given me this life. Universe has, even though, yeah, we've been through pain, but look we are right now. I get to
Mhm.
serve. I get to be that person who, you know, shares that light with others. And just a very,
Amazing.
like, even if it's like a small, we call it a small one, but it makes a huge difference, right? And it really transforms
Absolutely.
everything. So I'm so glad that, yeah, like you to your point, people immediately judge, like, Mina doesn't have any problems. She's always happy, right? But it's not about always being happy. We just have a different perspective and lens. You know, even today, like I'm not saying I'm not tired. All of us are tired. All of us are going through stuff. But just to get on this call, I was like, I get to speak to Michelle and we get to have this conversation and change the frequency of this collective. And that makes me happy. Right. So I'm
Absolutely.
grateful for the smallest things like this conversation. Right. So those are very important. So thank you
Yeah.
for having that and sharing that with us and also teaching that to your children. I'm so glad to hear you have a great relationship with your children. Very, very important for mothers to be present. And I told my mom that
Yeah.
and she learned. She was like, you know, you're right. And she's like more present with me. And I think it just takes some time for people to understand because we're conditioned to like survival mode. And that's how you
Yeah.
shift. it.
So
So
if you're listening to this podcast and you want to level up your gratitude, because I was really boring, I was happy. I was like, oh, I'm grateful for my health, for my business, for my kids. And I was so unimaginative. So YouTube has a 21-day gratitude. And I listen to that every day, every morning when I wake up, even when I'm in the shower for 21 days.
amazing.
And it helped me to tune in. And then I also listened to a book called Don't Believe Everything You Think. That also helped to keep my Zen garden, is what I call my mind.
Yeah.
So I work on my Zen garden every day. So, there are times you wake up and I feel like the anxiety and I feel some of the fear because it feels very normal and you fall into these habits. But with a little bit more awareness, I understand when I'm in that mindset. And I just get into a mindful practice where I'm putting on my headphones, right? And I'm making coffee and I'm doing a 5-minute stretch. But the 15 minutes or 30 minutes that I'm able to allow to give to myself really changes your day. Because and it's like, oh, I don't have time, like da da da. Well, I just get up 30 minutes earlier and I give myself that because
Yeah.
that the first 15, 30 minutes, it's going to change how your day goes.
Yeah, exactly. I love how you said as a Zen garden. I love that. Yeah, it's and I can tell you're just very calm and the energy is just shining. And it's lovely to see that, right? And and I know some people give excuses and that's okay, it's normal, but all of us are going through it. We have our doubts, but we have to make sure, even if it's
Hmm.
like music or I just got myself an Amazon Echo and there's like this healing frequency on there as well. A quick
Yeah.
Spotify's playlist, and it's just
Yeah.
very calming. Just play it out loud. And I need to check out that YouTube challenge myself, right? So I'm so glad you share these books and resources and tools. There's so many things out there.
Yeah.
I was sharing with my community the Insight Timer. A lot
Yeah.
of people love that app.
Yeah.
So, even if it's like really going to like a retreat, spend the
Yeah.
money, invest that money because it's worth it, right? Going to a retreat, like these are very important to really take time for yourself and self care. So, absolutely. And wow, such a great conversation. So, we'll love to go into your beauty brand, Imani. I've
Yeah.
heard a lot about it. It's amazing. And I know it's not just a beauty company, but it's rooted in helping women feel seen and supported, which I really
Yeah.
love. And that's something that's so passionate for me because I know we all have a gift, especially women, to make others feel seen, safe, and heard, right? And that's very important because a lot of
Yeah.
us haven't been feeling safe, right, in our own childhood. And now it's like, hey, now we're going to make others because we don't want the others to struggle what we went through. So, how important is this mission? And I know how you define beauty differently. We'll love to hear more.
Well, I had horrible cystic acne at the age of 15, spent a lot of time at dermatologists, went through, birth control, Accutane, topicals, and all of those things. And deep down inside, I really felt like an ugly duckling, right? I felt like, and, this was the 80s and early 90s. And I think now it's even amplified, of the insecurity where everything is perfect on social media. The 80s and 90s, we only have to look at the Vogue cover and it's like, oh my God, and we'll feel bad about ourselves. But now it's like all over on social media. And then we
Yeah.
realize it's all these apps. But, so for me, the frustration was that I couldn't find anything that was great that's good for my skin. So, and then I was just dealing with deep cystic acne and it's like deep inflammation in your skin that you can't just, wait until for it to cycle through. It's just there. Because I'll have cystic acne if it's not drained properly. I'll have it for months. Like it's underneath and it's very painful. And I met an esthetician, like just from a really simple meeting in 1997, she changed my life. She taught me about comedones, things that clog your pores. And back then, there was really little education around things that clog your pores and, people with sensitive skin like myself, right? And it's just not my face. I broke out everywhere and I have sensitive skin. Mosquitoes love me. I walk near hay, I started itching, it's just like that. And I got seasonal allergies, you name it, I got it. But that curse allowed me to be really tuned in and really be sensitive. And I'm like, I want to make products for people like myself who is allergic to everything or who's like putting something on and you're like, oh, wow, that just kind of burned my skin, but it wouldn't typically burn other people's skin. And so, yeah, I got this comment list, can't find any products I want, started calling companies. I said, hey, it's hypoallergenic. Why is it breaking me out? And just asking powerful questions and massively curious questions is what really helped to build Imani, because I didn't think about, oh, I'm going to start a
Right.
beauty company, right? I have I don't have any MBA. I don't have any formal education. I have a fashion and a merchandising design degree. And here I am. I'm like, okay, so started calling companies and and I was end up talking to somebody from Merck. He's one of the chemists. He's like, let me send you some raw materials. I'm like, Phil, I don't know how to do this. He's like, I can place you in touch with a formulator. And then I figure out how to do it. And then I put a little display together because I was in merchandising. And I went knocking on beauty stores. I just go in and I would cold call. And the first day I opened 5 stores. And I'm like, and I was selling a $350 package. And then that was like the most money I've made in one day. And I was like, I think I could do this for a living.
Yeah.
And then I built relationships and I really believed in what I was doing back then. I didn't even know what clean beauty was. So we were clean before clean was hip. Right. And then we went vegan because we found out the makeup brushes were made out of animal hairs. And when I found out how they procure the hairs, process, dye, and bleach and everything else, I'm like, that's not part of our philosophy. So we're one of the first companies that did vegan brushes back in 2002. That's like over 20 something decades ago, two
Yeah.
decades ago. And then vegan is just a way that we talk about how we really screen like our ingredients, right? And we did mostly just makeup because I was in fashion and I wanted foundation that didn't break me out. But as I age, I was getting pregnancy hormones. And then in my 40s, I got into perimenopause and then menopause. And now I'm in postmenopause. And so your skin really changed. Not only that, like, I don't think there's a lot of support now, 5, 6 years ago when I was going through it, there was not a lot of support. You hear about HRT and you would have to pay out of pocket and it would cost like $1,000. I'm like, how come it's not part of our well care? And so I really want to dive into like the next generation of skincare and natural skincare. As wonderful as it sounds, natural skincare is not going to bring the results that you want, especially if you're over 50, you have fine lines, hyperpigmentation, things are starting to hang. And so, I said, what are really important? The 3 factors that's going to be important skincare. And so whether you're looking at Imani or whether you're looking for skincare for yourself or you saw a brand on TikTok and you want to get it, right? These are the 3 questions. I call it the 3 P's in skincare. The first one is potency. What is the percentage of the active ingredients is in the product? Because too little, it doesn't do anything for you, but too much, it can cause your skin to irritate. So it's important to understand and to know, and you can reach out to their customer support. So it's like, oh, this is a vitamin C. Well, how much vitamin C is in this serum I'm paying? Whether it's $30 or whether it's $300. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to buy the brand, you want to buy the formula, right?
Right.
The second P is penetration. Penetration is like, how are they going to deliver these nutrients into your skin? And that's really going to help like at the second or the third level of that. And, 10 years ago when, K-beauty is kind of like bubbling now, it's just all over the place. And I wanted to know what makes K-beauty really incredible. Well, first of all, they had this 10-step process, didn't work for me. So I'm like, okay, how do we do 10 steps in 3 steps, right?
Mm-mm.
But then it also had a lot of fragrances. Fragrances has like 26 different allergens. For somebody like me, it would break me out.
Right.
And so I went to Korea and I found this little company that owns 13 patents. And the patents is actually for processing raw materials, breaking simple molecules into tiny molecules. So something with 200 parts per million, they can break it down to this process to 2,000 parts per million. What does that mean on a skincare layman term is that it absorbs faster and it's delivered a little bit deeper into your skin, where the magic really happens, it's, strengthen your microbiome layers and then also promote collagen because that's what you want. and also for brightness, for that glossy, beautiful skin. And then the third P is proven. Has it been clinically proven? And, through third party testing, through testimonials from customer, like real authentic testimonials. And those are the important things. So the potency and penetration are really the key factors.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm learning a lot from you here. And I think like sometimes I just see you and me because like literally I went through very similar things. It's just funny because I broke out and I still break out and I was taking proactive along for a
Hmm.
long time in my teenage years and it went for 15 years. And I realized that I needed to stop it because I had benzoyl peroxide, all these chemicals, and it really
Hmm.
dried my face. And even now, my skin breaks out and it's so dry. And I'm sitting here like, is there anything that doesn't have chemicals? Because I
Yeah.
tried Olay and all of that, and it just was like literally inflamed. And
Yeah.
now I use literally like other things like CeraVe and Vanity Cream with
Yeah.
no chemicals. And Vanity Cream did so much for me, and then a hyaluronic acid. So the fact that you're building, first of all, a brand, I love what you said that it wasn't just a beauty thing. It really came from your values and
Yeah.
your mission and who you are. And that's
Yeah.
very key. Like you were just, and you got some opportunities based on that. And you went to Korea. And it's just such an inspiring journey because it's not easy to do all of this, right? And, somewhere along the way, you get that support and you just keep trying and you're more resilient. And I'm so glad that's a very successful company. But the reason why it's successful is because of your passion, who you are, and your purpose, right? And for people like me who are still have sensitive skin, I also have terrible allergies and it's very sensitive. It's literally like a game changer, like a godsend because
Yeah.
it's very important. Like there's just so many chemicals, whether it's like a
Yeah.
shampoo and it's like tons of hair loss and all of this, and you're building something with all these vegan ingredients. So, thank you for that. And I'm sure it changes a lot of people's lives. And
Yeah.
it's really not about the looks, right? And even for me, like sometimes when I had that acne, I would get conscious, but now I still go in it with even though I have a pimple on my face because it's who
Yeah.
we are internally and we're here and we're helping others and it's our energy and our presence which really shines, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's very important thing that you shared because it's all over the place and to your point, back then I didn't even have a phone, so like even when I was in high school, so I wasn't
Yeah.
comparing myself too much. Now every person is doing these like makeup product reels and
Yeah.
like tons of eyeliner. I don't even wear foundation or a primer. I'm like, what is a primer, right? So,
Yeah.
right. And I don't know those things because I just want natural skin and natural look. It's
That's
what,
actually, yeah. Yeah, that's actually my goal, is to get
yeah,
women not to wear makeup and to be super confident, but though, we do really make some really kick-ass foundation.
yeah, yeah.
It is like all nourishing things for foundation. Like the new foundation we launched is called the Glow Biome. It has like NAD precursor in it. It has like ceramide and it has like peptides.
Hmm.
So the purpose I do that is because I don't like wearing makeup either, but sometimes I feel like I need a little bit because I can't wear sunscreen. I'm really allergic to chemical sunscreen. So I created this so I can actually run to the store, run to Target or something without having my skin like completely exposed. And it's like the no makeup look. Like it's made
Yeah.
for like lazy days that you just want to run outside and it takes you 2 minutes to apply, right? It's like a cushion, but it has all these like nutritious, yummy stuff for your skin.
Mhm.
And I think about like how people live their life. They don't want something that's too fussy or too much.
Yeah, and I would love to try your foundation and
Yeah.
Imani's because, like, literally, I wear tinted moisturizer. It's like Neutrogena. It's very similar. It's not even a
Yeah.
foundation, but it's just it gets kind of a slight concealer thing. But I'm just really not into like I just want natural because anyone who has
Yeah.
very sensitive skin. So I'm pretty
We're
sure.
gonna hook you up.
Yes, I
We're
love.
we're gonna hook you up. Send us your address and I'll hook you up. And then all of your listeners, we're gonna give you 20% off, your entire purchase. And you can just do Vina20 at checkout at imani.com and you get 20% off. So anybody who wants to try that, matter of fact, I will add it to our system right now. And so when you get a chance, because I think this is a really great way, and we have like a 30-day guarantee. If you don't love it, send it back. make
Yeah.
it easy and
Amazing.
simple.
Amazing. I love that. Like, but the listener as well, I know a lot of people who are listening, especially women, if you're
Yeah.
struggling like us, like you don't have to struggle anymore, right? And because
No.
I know what I went through with the whole chemical situation and things are different now. And so
Yeah.
thank you so much, Michelle. I think it's just like I said, it's just very admirable to be listening to the story. And
Yeah.
going back into now, you built this amazing, successful brand and company and tying it into your legacy and a collective impact. What does the conscious legacy mean to you? And how has all of this healing journey, your story, influenced the way you serve and give back now?
I think for me right now, it's kind of funny because everyone who owns a company wants to build a legacy.
Hmm.
For me, it seems a little bit narcissistic.
Hmm.
Right. And so, when I think of legacy, I think it's like how you want to remember when you pass away, right?
Right.
But I don't want to be remember when I pass away. I want to dive into the moment while I'm here. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not about the legacy. For me, it's like showing up with intentionality.
Amazing.
And then it goes back to one of my favorite books. It's called The Four Agreements. It's a really simple, small book, Senor Miguel Ruiz. And it talks about like, do your best, you know? And so for me, it's to be authentic, to do my best, to show up with intentionality and to be helpful,
Yeah.
without having it being, um, you know, at my own personal expense. But that's just kind of like what I think about when it comes to life legacy is that I want to lean into the moment
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was one person who also said that, and legacy doesn't have to mean like a whole, like a big definition. And to your point,
Hmm.
it's just being present and doing your best and serving, even if
Yeah.
it's one person. And that's one person. And that's exactly what it is for me, right? So
Yeah.
I'm building like a movement. If I could just, in a community, a lot of us just struggle with, right? I didn't have a community or a sisterhood growing
Yeah.
up who understood me. I didn't feel seen and supported. And it's just
Yeah.
I think what we call it a legacy, but the impact I want to make is just, hey, let's bring in the next generation of
Yeah.
women who are also doing the same, right? Who's
Yeah.
also just serving from a genuine place. I know there are people, like to your point, have narcissistic traits. I still get messages who just keep wanting to sell, and it's just not the hustle grind and, you know, shifting
Yeah.
the paradigm of what true leadership is. And of course, there's wealth and all of that, but that only comes as a byproduct of you just being present, having fun.
Yeah.
Like that's what it really is. That every day of my life, people are like, Vina, like, didn't you get that client? And I'm like, that no, because I'm enjoying my life. I actually
Yeah.
served today.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
on this platform, I'm helping others share their voice. I get
Yeah.
to share mine because of you guys and my story. And there's a connection, right? And I'm just very happy, and that's good enough for me. So love the definition you have and what you shared. And because a lot of people think it's like this huge, like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's really not, right? It could just be simple as I want to impact one person today. I want to add value. I want to make them feel seen and heard. I just want to give some kind of support. So amazing. And yeah, and of course, that was actually my next question because I know you did say that you would put some 15 words on your headstone. So what would those words be today? And I know you probably just said that, but
Yeah.
let me share if you have anything other to say.
Yeah. Best mom, sister, daughter, friend, and maybe innovator would be less. But
Hmm.
I just want to be a good human being.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. That's so beautiful and so powerful. And yes. And you already are, right? And I know a lot of people think like I said, I have to be successful. I have to be there. I have to thrive. Like you already are. You're good enough with who you
Yeah.
already are. And that's all we need because we're from a place in a society where like we have to keep performing to be
Yeah.
someone we're not. And we have to achieve this kind of status or this level. It's really not, right? And even if you die or, you're in deathbed or whatever, it's just that, because of, because of Michelle, because of whoever's listening,
Yeah.
I got to be a better person today, or I feel better today. I've been through a lot of pain, but you gave me that life. You impacted me in some way or form. And that's truly what it is. So you've made such a big impact as not only a founder, but yeah, like a sister and a mother, and all of that. So kudos to you. And that's very inspiring to be a role model, right? So
Yeah.
because we don't see that often, and that is the truth, right? And
Yeah.
talking to you is such an honor. And so, what are you most excited about next, creating this next chapter of your life and your leadership?
So I am starting a mission-driven company, right? That's also related to beauty, and we're looking to launch in October, and I might reach back out to you so we can talk more about it. But
Yes.
for me, it's about living every day. It's about the now, not in the past, not in the future, but like today's a day to make the best day.
Hmm.
And life is going to come at you, but how you handle it is going to determine how your day turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. Every minute is, I mean, navigating it is it's, people think it's not easy, but it's really just being in the moment, as simple as that, honestly.
Yeah.
And my partner keeps saying, like, live life to the fullest, like, why are you serious? It's okay if something doesn't happen. And I'm like, "That
Yeah.
is true." Like, enjoy it. If it does, something doesn't happen, it's okay. Like, okay, fine. Let me just turn on the music.
Yeah.
Even if it's like the smallest win. And I actually had a few people who were like, I was like, "Hey, post some wins, and what's your win today?" And they were like, "Yeah, I got like maybe one partnership. It's not a big deal." Or I got was one thing, or yeah, it's not a big win. And I'm like, anything small is a win, right? Why do
Yeah.
you think that
A
it's not a
win.
big win? Even if you slept today, even if you ate today, like you woke up happy, because a lot of people are struggling out there. And you know how it
Yeah,
is, the chaos in the world. So please cherish
absolutely.
every single moment you have with yourself, right? Because I've seen
Yeah.
people who are still not being grateful. So there's always a reminder. So thank
They
you for sharing.
forget to be grateful,
Yes.
and let's
And
help them remember.
they take it for granted, and it's
Yeah.
relationships, everything,
Yeah.
even if
It's
it's a
tough.
one high. Just
Yeah.
take the time to pick up the phone and just say it. Actually, speaking of California, like I did go to the Bay Area for my birthday,
Yeah.
and I met my cousin after so many years, and it was just really nice. Like we bonded so well, even after like
Mhm.
10 years. And she cooked food for me, and we went out
Yeah.
together, went to Monterey Bay. And it was just that one moment where,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like it changed a lot. And we really, really bonded after such a long time. We didn't have that ego, and like she didn't call or all that stuff. It was like a true cousin, like a true sister, right? So, and we still talk about it. 1 month later, she was like, "Hey, I remember you talked about to my kid, and I talked to her kid, and we played Uno on in the car." So it's those moments that I was like, "Wow, like this is really it, right? This is it. It's not just me doing business and hustling and grinding and achieving some titles or something, right? Because I was like that. I was like, okay, I was so into that. But now I was like,
Okay.
no, this is what really makes me the happiest. That I regret it. And now it's like, I'm like, okay, now I know I've learned my lesson. So amazing. So love this conversation. I'd love to go into the fun rapid fire round.
Okay.
Okay, so favorite comfort food from childhood.
Pho.
Okay. Love to learn more about what is that?
Pho is the Vietnamese noodle soup.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I haven't actually had too much of Vietnamese food. I know my brother has told me about it, so I need to go have it
Yeah.
now. So amazing. Okay, so let's see. What is something that people are surprised to learn more about you?
That I love rum raisin ice cream.
Ice cream. Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Likewise here. Oh my God, you're like so similar to me.
I love rum raisin. Yeah, my life, I love to eat and I love to celebrate over food.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Cool. And let's see. If your life were a movie title, what would it be?
Oh, wow. The long game.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I can relate to that too. So that's a good one. That's a good one. Amazing. Wow, this was such an amazing conversation. Like, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your journey with such honesty, courage, and heart. What stands out most from today's conversation is that legacy isn't something we leave behind. It's really that what we build from the choices we make every day and the moments we have presently, right? So your story reminds us that our beginnings do not define our potential. right? That resilience can become leadership. And when we stop seeing our challenges as limitations, we really overcome that. It's really part of our purpose, right? And extraordinary things become possible when we look at it from that lens.
Mm.
So, for everyone listening, I hope this conversation inspires you to honor your story, trust your path, and remember that some of your greatest gifts often are born from the moments that tested you most. And I know Michelle and I, especially me, can totally say yes to that. And before we wrap up, I'd love to share something I'm incredibly excited about. So, very similar with all these conversations, and we talked about I'm building Sovereign Rise. It's actually a movement and ecosystem. It's currently just launched. So, it's a global leadership ecosystem for founders and creators navigating seasons of reinvention and expansion. So we believe that we bring exceptional leaders together where we think success should be meaningful and sustainable. This is not about hustle and grinding or anything like that. We're going to be blending soul and strategy. So you use your identity, leadership, and visibility growth, and we translate that into actually stronger positioning, meaningful partnerships, and real business apps, right? But it's going to be very collaborative. So what's been especially exciting is that even before the launch, we already have about 10 collaborators. So
Wow.
incredible momentum through referrals already and leaders reaching out to be part of the vision. So if you feel
Mhm.
called to join as a founding member or even contribute as speaking for as a master class or doing a workshop, or you want to just be a builder, we'd love to connect with you. And thank you for joining, Michelle, and for all the listeners to join Voices of Impact. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, keep expanding with intention, and remember that your story has the power to create impact far beyond what you can see today, right? So amazing.